This is Team 5, and I'm Parker Wills.
I'm Ben Johnson.
I'm Justin Dye.
And I'm Anya Gerwitz.
For our group's interview, we chose to interview Ben, and the reason for this is because his demonstration of excellent leadership skills and just because of his age as well. So we're going to take the opportunities that Ben has learned from his experience and leadership skills and see what kind of challenges and difficulties that he has to go through, especially at his day and age.
Introduce yourself and the organization, what you do.
So, my name is Ben Johnson. I am the Vice President for the Student Alumni Association. I'm also senior here at Arizona State University. Student Alumni Association, you might be asking, what is the Student Alumni Association? Student Alumni Association is the spirit, pride, and tradition holders here on campus. So we handle all the different traditions that have been happening for some for like 100 years and some for 4 years. So it's kind of all over the place. But as vice president, my role is to kind of, lead the organization. We have 6 different directors underneath me. So it's president, vice president, chief of staff, marketing, and then we have 4 other directors that kind of handle all of those events. So as vice president, I kind of oversee everyone, kind of be like a liaison between different organizations here on campus, and kind of make sure that everybody feels ready for their events that they're planning and kind of help out wherever I see fit and help plan these big events that we do every year.
Can you think of either a difficult time you've had to deal with either your employees or other people around you?
Yeah, definitely. So I think one of the most difficult things as a leader for any organization is communication. From followers and even just different leaders around you. For example, in the Student Alumni Association, one of my directors, we call it a traditions director, they handle some of the events. So this event's called Lantern Walk. You might have heard of it. It's where we go up on a mountain and hand off a lantern. The seniors hike up there, hand off a lantern to the juniors, kind of like a passing of the torch for the new school year. And so it was kind of her event to set it up, and I was there as like a help her out wherever I see fit. And if she had any questions, she could come to me. But then as it got closer and closer to the event, I didn't hear anything from her. So I figured everything was good and everything was fine. Just because, she didn't have any problems, I thought. So, and then after the event actually happened, I heard from another leader that she was stressing out all the way up like a whole week before the event. And it was a lot of work that she had to do last second. So it was difficult because I figured that if I needed help in the situation, then I would have just reached out. But that was not the case. It's case by case scenario.
Yeah.
It's different for everybody, definitely. So I had to figure out, how I could help her after the fact, and kind of take that as a realization that I need to think about how each person communicates differently. And not how I would do it. And I had to think and put myself in their shoes and think how they would want to communicate. So I learned a lot from that situation, definitely.
How did you handle the situation after you heard that she was having problems and struggling with this event?
Yeah, so unfortunately I didn't find out until after the fact, after the event actually passed. So at our next meeting, we have general meetings every week with everyone gets together to describe or kind of plan out those events for the next upcoming week. I pulled her aside and just had like a one-on-one talk with her to make sure that she felt heard and that she could reach out to me at any time with any problems that she had. And thankfully we had some more events coming up that she was planning. So she had more opportunity and I had more opportunity to kind of reach out and help her. So that whole week leading up to the actual event, I reached out at least once a day, probably to make sure that she was set with everything and make sure that she was prepared and felt like she was ready for the event.
Do you think that helped?
I think so. I think that for the next events, she felt way more prepared and not as stressed out.
What have you learned from this challenge?
I also learned that you should prepare things more in advance and kind of not wait till the last second and not procrastinate those things. I think that's something that we can all learn to be better at. And of course, working as a team as a whole and making sure that everybody's together on a project and nobody feels left out.
Alrighty, Ben. Well, thank you for taking your time with this interview. Do you have any more questions for us today?
That's it. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.